Okay, welcome everyone this evening. This is a meeting of the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting held on Remembrance Day 2025. I don't think the events will be quite as transformational for the nation as what they were 50 years ago, but you never know. So members of the public are advised the meeting will be live streamed and recorded. The live stream recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and Council's website. Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges and recognises the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung as the traditional owner of the land on which Nillumbik is located. We pay tribute to all First Nations people living in the Nillumbik Shire, give respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respect to all First Peoples. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Can we move to leaves of absence? Can I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Joy, second. Councillor Cope. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move that the committee, acting under delegation from Council, grants leave of absence to Councillor John Jimerick.
All those in favour? That's carried. We now move to the confirmation of minutes from the Planning and Consultation Committee held on the 14th of October. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joy. Joiner.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move that the committee, acting under delegation from Council, confirms the minutes of the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 14th of October 2025 as per attachment 1.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Councillor Cope, all those in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Councillor Perkins, did I see your hand up? Yeah, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. We're now moving to the officer reports part of the meeting and the consultation matters. The first item on the agenda is the Diamond Creek BMX Jumps and Recreation Park Community Consultation. We have a number of people that have registered to speak this evening, and the first person to be speaking is Jacinda Brown. Is Jacinda in the audience? Thank you. Could you just move up to the microphone? Jacinda, can I just say you have 3 minutes. There are a number of speakers on the agenda for this evening's meeting. I will be fairly strict on the imposition of the 3-minute deadline, and that is so everybody gets the fair amount of time. No one will get less, or unless they choose to get less, but no one then will get more. And that same even-handedness will apply to councillors. At the end of the meeting, they'll be given 3 minutes as well. So thank you for that. Cheers. Go ahead. You could just buzz on your microphone in front of you, where it says speaking.
Hello. Oh, is that it? Hello, my name is Jacinda Brown. I hope you saw the photos I sent today, my last month's wanderings showing the diversity and wildlife in Challenger Street Reserve. In 1997, Nillumbik Shire Council published Sites of Faunal and Habitat Significance, the NEROC report, by Cam Bidsall, OAM. In this report, the area that is now Challenger Street Reserve is detailed in Site 46, Diamond Creek. Out of 104 sites in the report, Site 46 rates highly in faunal and habitat significance and is a strategic habitat link. The following excerpt describes the natural heritage values of the landscape. The riparian in-stream habitat in the Challenger Street area is the most natural occurring in the Plenty Lowlands Hills section of the Diamond Creek. Most other sections are highly degraded and fragmented. The site supports historical and archaeological values worthy of protection and biological values worthy of rehabilitation. The planning recommendation site. The Diamond Creek site is a strategic habitat link in northeast Melbourne. These are sites in which habitat link utility is considered critical to the maintenance of faunal habitat significance in accordance with the regional habitat link strategy. The preservation and enhancement of these designated links is a key recommendation of the strategy. Strategic habitat links are sites within a particular biophysical zone or major catchment that are presently or potentially the most critical or important for local fauna and movement. Following these recommendations, Nillumbik Shire Council established Challenger Street Wetlands in 2004. For 21 years, they've shown their commitment to the reserve with extensive ecological restoration, expanding its environmental significance. Challenger Street Reserve has received community support with planting events and weekly bird walks. Challenger Street Wetlands is strategic habitat link providing free passage for wildlife and critical habitat for many species, including powerful owls, gang cockatoos and Latham snipes, all on Victoria's threatened species list due to loss of habitat and urban expansion. This precious open space is highly valued for passive recreation by people from across the Shire in all demographics. It is a spectacular example of ecological restoration and an asset to the Shire. This plan is in conflict with your vision, principles, values, goals and commitments in your council plan, biodiversity strategy, environmental charter, green waste management plan, open space strategy, climate action plan and the NEROC report. It just doesn't make sense to destroy the beautiful place that you've created. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacinda. Any questions from councillors? No questions? Thanks, Jacinda. Could Jason Morrison come up to the chair? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. My name's Jason Morrison, and thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak this evening. I've lived in Nillumbik for 20 years and at my current Diamond Creek address for the past 18, and I walk through Challenger Street Reserve at least twice daily. I have 3 kids. We love the area. I ask you not to proceed with the proposed project. I've listed out my personal concerns in a previous email, together with my disappointment about the absence of consultation. Therefore, I don't want to repeat these points tonight. Instead, I wish to appeal to your sense of duty as our elected custodians of the Green Wedge, and I ask you to reflect on the historical, the cultural, the environmental, and the community significance tied to this land when making a decision as to whether to repurpose it. Firstly, regarding the historical significance. Challenger Reserve is part of the former Nillumbik Farm, which dates back to Henry Arthur's time in the 1830s. The council's own website states Nillumbik Farm is of regional significance with the, in quotation, still rural setting cited as one of the 4 supporting factors that are tied to the early history of the district. This should be considered in a decision on repurposing this land. Secondly, regarding cultural significance, based on the information available on Heritage Victoria, Nillumbik Farm, as Jacinta mentioned, is listed as important, well actually this wasn't what Jacinta listed, but as an important meeting place of the local Wurundjeri people owing to the abundant food supplies offered by the creek bank and lagoon. Therefore, I'm unclear as to why advice from the Wurundjeri Council is not yet to be sought before any decision on site selection can be made. And thirdly, regarding environmental significance, in the 1997 report into sites of faunal and habitat significance published on the council site, the site that was to become Challenger Street Reserve was rated 22nd out of 104 on the faunal criteria. Based on this study, the reserve was established and considerable rehabilitation investment has been made. I personally have witnessed the impact of these efforts, and I feel privileged that I'm able to enjoy the benefits as part of my daily routine. And finally, the community significance. The Challenger wetland stands as a precious ecological treasure that I expect would be the envy of any council. But fortunately, it sits on our council and your predecessors have nurtured it. Several of you have invested your time in rehabilitating it, and as a result, we all get to enjoy it. The wetlands are a natural asset, available to everyone and enjoyed by many. I therefore urge you, do not choose to take away our wetlands. This natural asset should be enhanced for the benefit of all, not repurposed for the use of a few. Please reconsider your intent to proceed with the project. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions, councillors?
Yes,
Councillor
Peter.
Perkins.
Yeah, thanks for the submission tonight, Jason. What has led you to believe that we're removing the wetlands?
Looking at the plans of the course, I can see the size of the project, the earthworks that are required to enable those jumps, and the changing of the landscape takes away a significant component of what forms the wetlands of Challenger Street Reserve.
Yeah, okay, that hasn't been our advice, but I'll take your point, if that's your opinion.
I just don't see it any other way.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Question through the chair.
Yes.
Okay. At what point will we be engaging with the Wurundjeri Council? Who would that be best directed towards?
I think the Director of Planning, I'll direct that question to him.
The question...
The Acting CEO, Jeremy Livingston, will answer that question.
Through the chair, one of the reasons why the BMX park was selected in this location was to look at reducing potential issues which were encountered at the first site in Allendale Road. So one of the reasons was that this location does not trigger consultation with Wurundjeri with respect to a CHMP or Cultural Heritage Management Plan.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Cheers.
The third speaker, Dale Welsh, if you could address the committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Dale Welsh. I would like to start by saying that I'm not opposed to the idea of BMX jumps in the local area. In fact, the jumps that previously existed before they were destroyed seem to be very fit for purpose. I've lived in a property for about 38 years very close to parkland where the new bike jumps are proposed. I'm concerned about both the environmental impact and the minimal buffer zone for homes close to these proposed jumps. I would like to ask 3 questions. Number 1, planning for these jumps appears rushed in my opinion. Apparently an ecological survey is currently underway. My question is why the jumps are even being considered for this site before the results of the survey are established and made public. I'll just keep going with questions. I don't know, do you answer them now or do I just keep firing away?
You can keep asking the questions.
Okay. How will e-bikes and motorcycles be police controlled if these jumps go ahead? And last one is, if the jumps go ahead, rather than staying on the paved path, bikes coming from Eltham will most likely take a shortcut across the paddocks along the back fences of Chusan Court and Aronsay Crescent. It should also be noted that this is also a dog-off lead area that is very popular with dog walkers. How can this be mitigated or even prevented out of respect for these homeowners and dog walkers? That's it.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions for Dale? No question. Thank you, Dale.
No worries, thank you.
Look, the next listed speaker was Rachel Powell. We received an apology from Rachel this evening. She couldn't join us because she was unwell. Her submission, though, that she was reading out this evening has been submitted to Nillumbik Council and that has been circulated to all councillors. So all councillors will be aware of that submission. So Lee Omani, if you could approach the perfect timing, Lee. Okay. If you...
Sorry, I'm a bit late. Thank you for hearing me. I wish to speak about the BMX jumps. I'm very concerned about both the process that's been used to deem that the Challenger Street Reserve is a suitable site for the BMX jumps and about the environmental impacts. As I understand it, the Allendale Road site was rejected due to both flooding and Aboriginal artefacts, which is fair enough. I also understand that there's a deadline to still get the state government contribution, which may perhaps have led to some curious decisions of governance. In my view, a failure to do project due diligence in advance of choosing a site shouldn't mean that it's okay to choose an inappropriate location, nor that it's okay to not consult with or even inform impacted residents, which seems to have happened here. Sorry, a bit out of breath. A bird who's classed as vulnerable under the EPBC Act is known to use the Challenger Street wetlands, the Latham snipe. They migrate from Japan, and they're protected under the Japan-Australia Migratory Bird Agreement. Under Article 6 of the agreement with Japan, Australia has agreed to preserve and enhance the environment of the Latham snipe. In particular, it's agreed to seek to prevent damage to their environment. Latham snipe are very shy and wary birds who often use small, contained freshwater wetlands like Challenger Street. They don't tend to form large flocks. Having heavy machinery and earthworks during construction, they're noisy groups of people and bikes on concrete, whatever, for the foreseeable future, does not constitute preventing damage to their environment. Nillumbik may be in breach of Australia's agreement with Japan to protect the bird. The wetlands themselves are classed as being regionally significant. Considerable money and labour has gone into enhancing them. In addition to the Latham snipe, the gang cockatoos are known to live there, and they are listed under the Act as endangered. And then we've got the powerful owl as well. The proposed installation of lights will mean that the powerful owl's habitat is impacted. For nocturnal animals, habitat is darkness. Lights is not habitat. I therefore ask that you please vote to cease any further work and costs on the proposal for the jumps in or near Challenger Street Reserve and pursue a more appropriate location. One where kids are close to existing facilities for their safety, like sports precincts, and one where they're not near wetlands or the creek, due to the likelihood of wildlife killing litter, as was common in the illegally built jumps along the train tracks. Litter impacts all manner of wildlife, including the platypus, who, amazingly, still survive in the Diamond Creek part of the Diamond Creek, and they've been sighted there recently. This is the Green Wedge Shire. That has to mean something, and it shouldn't mean that the few surviving places of areas of open space have to have stuff for humans in them. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Any questions for Lee, councillors?
I have a question.
A question from Councillor McKay.
Thank you for referring to the Green Wedge. Considering 91% of Nillumbik is protected green wedge, where would you suggest that a facility like this would go?
So the question was 91% of Nillumbik is protected green wedge. Well, this is an urban area where there is less.
Yeah, that's in the 9%. Where it is planned to go is within that 9% of the area of Nillumbik that's not classified as protected green wedge.
I would say that it is very important for residents of the 9% to still have areas of open space and wetlands and endangered and vulnerable birds and wildlife.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Matthew Atwell in the gallery. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Atwell. I am a daily visitor to Challenger Street Reserve. I am a diploma qualified arborist. There are 3 heritage listed trees in the reserve, 2 red gums adjacent to the recreational precinct plan and a sugar gum at the proposed vehicle entrance. The root system of the sugar gum tree has been compromised over time, compacting the soil on 3/4 of its root system. The car park is often overflowing with cars parking underneath the tree canopy. The driveway of number 50 is used for residents, emergency and government vehicles. The remaining 1/4 is less compacted soil with semi-mature redbox. Extra traffic and construction around the root zone will be detrimental to the health of the tree. Upgrading the car park will not only damage the root system of the tree, but the surrounding area is a LSIO zone. Therefore, it is not possible to extend. Within the reserve, the area where the car park and the toilets on the plan is a seasonal wetland, which extends beyond the newly planted trees. On Sunday, I saw 20 water birds, at least 5 species, foraging, swimming, resting. The natural water flow pulls into this area, creating a unique habitat within the reserve. Obstructing this flow with infrastructure will drastically alter this. Waterbirds regularly cross the driveway to access other areas within the reserve and will be subject to traffic. Some of them are shy, like swamp hens and herons, and are unlikely to use the area with busy facilities. A recreational precinct will severely impact the site of faunal, landscape and archaeological significance. The entire reserve is a strategic habitat link, and construction and continued use of the recreational precinct will prevent free passage for foraging for wildlife and and destroy this critical habitat and precious open space forever. The many people I've spoken to who already visit Challenger Street for passive recreation are devastated to hear the plan when I tell them. And most of the people still don't even know about that it's happening. In Alexandra, the Shire of Murrindindi, the council dumped truckloads of soil beside the skate park. The local BMX community were encouraged to create jumps, collaborating and learning from each other. When my son was learning to ride and wanting to jump, he was helped, encouraged, included by this community.
Thank you, Matthew.
Maybe this is the way forward.
Thank you. Were there
any questions
for Matthew? No questions, you're free to go there. Okay, we have Steve Frost. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. I've got a whole heap of stuff printed up, typed up, written up, but I think I'll probably just speak from the heart. I've lived in Aronsay Crescent for 40 years. I know the area extremely well. I remember it when it was a horse paddock, as other people behind me will as well, for probably the first 8 to 10 years of our married life where I raised my kids. We would use that horse paddock pretty much every day. We'd go down and pat them, talk to them, nurture them. And eventually they got taken away, but the whole crux of that, in the whole time that I was here, we never complained about the dust, the smell, we just put up with it. They were taken away years later, back in probably 20, 25 years ago now, not sure of the timeline. The council decided that they would do some works to beautify the park. Put in some drains, plant some trees, and that work has continued over the last probably 15, at least 10 years, where volunteers have gone down, planted trees and made the park what it is today. I live it. If you look at my presentation or my submission, and I urge you to go to page 2 of my submission and look at the photo that's been taken from my kitchen. That's my view. My view is about to change to what I believe will be a 40-foot container, a whole heap of jumps, a toilet block, a car park. That's not right. It's not fair. People have spoken to me about, or people have spoken tonight about the environmental impact. The environmental impact is real. I'm not an environmentalist, but even I buy into the fact that if you build this, you're going to stuff the reserve up. It's as simple as that. It'll be plagued with graffiti. I reckon we'll be lucky to get a month out of it. I've retired from my job. I retired 2.5 years ago. I had 46 years with Victoria Police. Rarely lost a day's sleep. I've lost a lot of sleep over this. I never thought that in my retirement and in coming to live in the Green Wedge, an area that I've supported for 40 years, that this would be foisted upon us. There's a lot of self-interest in this, but everyone's got a lot of self-interest in this. Once this is built, that reserve is gone. Absolutely. The level that I've been a ratepayer for 40 years. Do you know how I found out about this project? By walking through the park and looking on a seat. No consultation, no nothing. This has been rammed through. There's indecent haste here. I also have a number of questions which I won't get to because I see that my time's up, but there's something going on here that I need to understand.
Thank you. Thank you. Your point's well made. Do we have any questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve. Rebecca Bosch.
Good evening, councillors. My name is Becky Bosch and I'm a resident of Diamond Creek. I'm speaking tonight to oppose the BMX development at Challenger Street Reserve, although I'm not opposed to the concept. My husband and I retired here because we love the peace and natural beauty of this area. The proposed BMX site will be directly opposite where we live. Earthworks, noise, increased traffic, light pollution, and security risks. These are just some of the issues the BMX site will bring. Peace and natural beauty gone. Why were we not consulted before this was voted on by Council in May this year? Challenger Street Reserve was once known as Nillumbik Farm. Nillumbik Farm is historically significant for its association with the early settlement of Port Phillip, the farm itself dating back to the 1850s, but I'm sure you all know this already. The BMX site does not comply with the historical and heritage protections that apply to this area, which also includes the sugar gum. The Nillumbik Farmhouse, Nillumbik Farm and the sugar gum are on the Heritage Register. HO24 and HO25 are the heritage overlays for these areas. The aim is to conserve and enhance heritage places of natural, aesthetic or cultural significance. The heritage overlay is clear. Developments within its influence must protect and not diminish the significance of heritage places and trees. The Nillumbik Planning Scheme Ordinance 15 states, planning should ensure all land use and development appropriately responds to its surrounding landscape and character, and that planning should protect places and sites with significant heritage, architectural, aesthetic, natural, scientific and cultural values. Challenger Street Reserve is land that was once part of the Nillumbik farm dating back to the 1850s, and in modern times is the connection between the Nillumbik farmhouse and the old road leading to the sugar gum. Once the historical relationship between the Nillumbik farmhouse, its farmland and the sugar gum is disturbed, that connection is lost forever. Introducing the BMX site will directly impact this connection and diminish the significance of heritage, natural and cultural values. There are other sites in Diamond Creek that could host a BMX facility. Doesn't have to be on Diamond Creek Reserve. I know that it just has to be in Diamond Creek. But there is only one place where the story of early Nillumbik farming life remains physically intact. I urge Council to respect the Heritage Act and adhere to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme Ordinance and relocate this proposal to a more suitable, non-heritage sensitive location.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Any questions for Councillor Joy?
Through the chair, could we just get clarity from officers on the heritage overlay, please?
I'll defer that question to the acting CEO, who may want to answer it or suggest another officer best placed to advise us. The question is around the heritage overlays on the site. Yeah, so Officer Alex Stewart will address that question. Thank you.
So through the chair, I'm hoping everyone can hear me. The heritage overlays themselves encompass the sugar gum, which is correct, and a small area around it. And additionally, the other location is around the homestead itself. The proposed location is well outside both of these heritage overlays.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Could I ask Jim Connor to present to the committee? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, councillors. This is my personal submission. I'm not speaking on behalf of any organisation. In a council planning report in 2017, it was stated that the Diamond Creek Trail is the most used trail in the Shire. It was then estimated by council that the total number of users of the trail in 2015 was about 360,000 users. This estimate was before the trail was extended beyond Diamond Creek to Hurstbridge, so it would be expected that these numbers would be significantly higher now. I usually ride this trail 3 times per week past the proposed site. Many people, including older persons, either walking or riding, use this section of the Diamond Creek Trail near this site. Diamond Creek Park Run has been quoted as having around 300 weekly runners using the existing trail between Marnbrook Oval and Allendale Road. It is my understanding that the toilets were originally proposed to be next to the trail. Locating the toilet facilities adjacent to this trail would be, to me, a logical decision to ensure maximum value and return from the investment in these facilities. If walking or riding from the Eltham direction, users currently need to travel approximately 5 kilometres from the Eltham North Playground to reach a toilet at Diamond Creek. Location of the proposed toilet facilities near the trail would reduce that distance to approximately 3.3 kilometres. If this proposal is to proceed, I urge Council to ensure these toilets are accessible for all users by locating these facilities adjacent to the Diamond Creek Trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? Thank you. I call Don Vincent, President, on behalf of Friends of Nillumbik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of Friends of Nillumbik. Generally, we support the development of infrastructure within the Shire to meet the needs of our growing community. For this proposal, survey submissions show some community backing. It does appear to be an opportunity to gain state government money to build active community infrastructure, which is good, but we can't see where it's part of an integrated plan for meeting priority needs across the Shire or the best way to spend limited council funds. Aside from that, we have three main concerns with this proposal. The community engagement process. The new Challenger site was put forward as the only suitable option. The engagement process that followed used a survey that only related to the concept plan, not the location, community impact or the environment. The agenda report specifically excluded objections made as, quote, this was not a component that could be influenced as part of this consultation, unquote. We think that the engagement process that was followed in this case was rushed, incomplete and short-sighted. And it's completely at odds with the community engagement policy, which is the next agenda item in this meeting, seeking a greater focus on inclusive engagement. 2, budget implications for council. We've seen no references in any of the documents to the ongoing funding and resource commitments of council if this project proceeds. We asked your finance team what the estimated annual costs were. No figures were provided, but we were told that this would be funded out of operational budgets. Our very rough estimate of annual ongoing costs for management, maintenance of shelters, roads and car parks, toilets, barbecues, grounds, fences, and especially regular replacement of special surfaces and operational costs for waste collection, graffiti removal and damage repair would be around $100,000 to $200,000 per year after any initial warranty period. We don't know if any numbers were provided to council for their decision making. This is a major concern. We would expect that for transparent decision making by council, any decision on new infrastructure investment must include an understanding of future budget commitments as well. This is especially so in this year, as we've recently commented on the budget and its processes, and we know how limited funds are for any budget initiative. Third is environmental concerns. Apparently no environmental site survey has yet been undertaken for this proposal. This is contrary to Council's commitments in its biodiversity strategy to, quote, embed consideration of biodiversity protection and enhancement within Council's decision-making processes and into new Council policies, strategies and plans, unquote. This site rates high in faunal significance and has been under the care and management of Council for about 20 years. This needs to be considered adequately and in context. We understand Council has now engaged a consultant for an EES, but maybe it's all too late given the apparent urgency to gain the state grant. Thanks.
Any questions for Don? Councillors? No, thank you, Don. Marcus Bosch.
Good evening. I'm Marcus Bosch. I'm a local resident. The Challenger Street Reserve is a beautiful thing and a major asset to the community, and it is used and accessed a great deal by all sorts of people, as I see every day. If you look at it, it may seem like an empty space available to be filled with something. The plan to put a BMX facility there may seem to be based on the premise that there's nothing there already. If it was a library or an amphitheatre, we wouldn't fall for this. There is something there already now, and to put the BMX facility there would be to remove the beauty that is currently there. This reserve, it is a reserve. We value the fact that it's safe. It's reserved from allocation to other purposes, housing, public buildings, or community facilities, I hope. It's a beautiful place, this reserve, and the beauty is a valuable asset to our community. So if the community facility goes there, the beauty of the reserve will be gone, and this will be very sad. As others have said, there are various places that this facility could go without destroying an area so important. Claire Quinlan, along with Kelly Joy, met some of us on the reserve a few weeks ago. She told us that some of the other local possible sites had been examined, and each of them were not considered further due to one obstacle or another. and Challenger Street Reserve was selected because no negatives were identified. But after she heard about all the negatives that there were, and we keep discovering more, Claire acknowledged that a more thorough examination of the other alternatives should be done, and she promised to commence this work. So she's not here now, but looking at the other alternatives with a view to finding a more appropriate solution, I think could be done a lot more creatively than has been done. And I'm asking today whether that process began while she was still here, or whether it could still begin as a systematic exploration of alternatives, because this alternative is a disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Joy.
Through the chair, could we just get clarity from officers, please, on the zoning? I believe it's a recreation reserve, but I just want to clarify that.
Defer to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, the land is zoned public park and recreation zone, and there's an environmental significance overlay as well under the planning scheme.
Thank you. We now move to the electronic part of the meeting. We've got two people joining us via Zoom, so I'm hoping Christopher Collins is listening in and is about to appear on the screen if this works seamlessly.
I am here, councillors.
Perfect.
But
Hello.
I'm not sure about... Oh, there's Christopher.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, that sounds like a Christopher to me.
It is indeed a Christopher.
Could we go with you can we go with you first, Christopher?
Thank you. Yes, please. I'm actually in Seville in Spain.
Excuse me,
and
can you just turn on your camera? We can't see you on the screen, and we would very much like to.
right. I'm sorry. I'm using a mobile phone. It's totally inadequate.
Okay. Just, you do have 3 minutes, Christopher, so...
Yep. Can I please get onto it?
You can.
Thank you. Right. I have lived in I live in Oronce Crescent. I've lived there for 29 and a half years, almost 30 years. I was formerly an active member of the Friends of Challenger Street group when it was first formed in 2004. And I've been involved in numerous projects on tree planting, etc., for over 20 years. I've been... I'm sorry. I've been actively and individually actively involved in tree planting and other activities to increase the biodiversity of the area. I'm totally opposed to the proposed location of the current reserve, and I would like it to be reviewed for a location. There are, I'm sure, other places where it could be located, Tram Cafe being one of them. I strongly believe that my property and the reserve that I deeply love will be negatively impacted by its location as per the proposal. I believe that my and my family's lifestyle will be impinged upon, and our peace and tranquility will be disturbed. I am concerned about the security of the area and the honeypot effect that this proposal will have to attract illegal activities, particularly littering, vandalism and graffiti on neighbouring properties and fences, including my own. I have visited the Eltham and Diamond Creek skate parks and have been appalled by the state of them. I do not have confidence in the council's ability to ensure that my property will not be impacted by this, and I do not feel as if that the residences have been appropriately consulted with. The reserve is a designated off-lead area for dog walkers. The council may recall that my active involvement in the recent damp review. I'm concerned about the effects that this will have on noise pollution and the negatively impact it will have on the local residents. Others have spoken on the effect on wildlife and our biodiversity, and I fully concur with their views. Finally, I do not believe that the council has properly consulted with the local residents. And I do not believe that they have, I believe that they have failed in their duty of care to the ratepayers and electors of Nillumbik. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Right on schedule, so that was well done. Catherine Crotty, if you're still listening.
Yes, hi, good evening, councillors.
Address the committee, thank you.
My name is Catherine Crotty and I'm the daughter of two of your residents who live on Aronsay Crescent, which directly overlooks the site of the proposed BMX park. Briefly, by way of my credentials and experience, I'm a recent first-class honours law graduate and I have over 4 years experience clerking in commercial and property law and 2.5 years experience in government law and policy. Councillors, I submit with all due respect that your conduct in relation to this park exemplifies a failure to represent the residents of your community. I submit that you are in breach of the most basic of your legal duties, which is acting with good governance in compliance with the overarching governance principles in Section 9 of the Local Government Act. These principles relevantly include that you must give priority to achieving the best outcomes for your community, that you must promote the economic, social and environmental sustainability of your district, and you must engage your community on decisions that affect it. I can't particularise in just 3 minutes every aspect of Council's conduct during this project that constitutes a breach of the Act, but I can emphasise that your selection of the Challenger Street site without community engagement is evidence of a breach of this Act, let alone your other legal requirements and Council policies. Importantly, councillors, your own council meeting agenda from 27 May this year betrays any assertion you might have that consultation isn't required. I refer you to agenda item 53 of 25, paragraph 14, wherein you state full public consultation would again be required as it is a new location and there are residential properties overlooking the site. Why, councillors, have you proceeded against your own advice? I point you to the 2022 council document entitled Summary of Exhibition Feedback to the Draft Community Infrastructure Strategic Plan, which demonstrates that as early as 3 years ago, you were on notice that, and I quote, your community felt left in the dark about what was happening in relation to this BMX park. I further point you to the Advisory Committee report of 25 July 2023, wherein the Youth Council told you that young people wanted to be engaged in this process and that they wanted community ownership of their jumps. And now, years later, councillors, a member of your community should not have to find out that such a big development is occurring less than 100 metres from their house by accident. And the very people that are expected to make the most use of this park, the BMX, skating and youth community, where were their voices in this decision? In sum, councillors, I submit that you have failed to represent the people who elected you, and if you proceed, the community will not be taking this lying down. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Any questions, councillors?
A question through the chair.
Councillor McKay.
Thank you. How many people responded to our community consultation on Participate Nillumbik? Thank you.
The answer from Councillor Joy, 343.
Okay. And what was the proportion of people in favour of this, of having a BMX park in the Shire?
I think we're getting into discussion now,
Okay.
which is not what we're here for. We're here to listen to submissions, answer questions and ask them.
Do we know the answer to that though?
It is in the body of the report, so I refer everyone here to the body of the report. Thank you. Look, it's just been brought to my attention we have a couple of people who weren't aware of the requirements that would like to address the committee this evening. That is Travis Lynch and Jay Lovelace. Look, I would say that I'm not going to provide you permission to speak tonight, only because we have a very requisite specified process. Once we deviate from that process, then it, I think, undermines the integrity of that process. So if you have not... You can, well, I'll take a question because of the circumstances, yes.
My only question was, we started this meeting by acknowledging the traditional landowners, yet council, and I know has heard, advised that they switched location, so they didn't need to now consult the traditional landowners.
That's the... I think that was the acting CEO spoke to that. Yeah. Maybe if you could answer the question again, that has been answered once already, so that is then well and truly answered twice. Thank you.
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, the reason for the site selection was to look at unencumbered land, one of those criteria is to not require a cultural heritage management plan. That is something that is prepared at significant cost with significant scrutiny that are consulted formally through a formal process with Wurundjeri. But this site wouldn't trigger that. It isn't to say that council wouldn't consult ordinarily, but not through a cultural heritage management plan process.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, I think we've heard from... No, the time for submissions and the time for questions is over. I do advise all submitters that this is not the end of it is the beginning of a process. It is not the end of the process. And you're free to phone and email councillors at your discretion in the coming months, and to hear firsthand from councillors their perspectives, their views, their attitudes towards this proposal. Okay, so I think we are now... we have a question. No, there's...
Yes, hello?
Okay, I'm sorry. Catherine is still there, and we have Councillor Joy has a question for you.
Thank you, Chair. Catherine, congratulations on your recent legal graduation. I just wanted to check on the legal position of suggesting that councillors are in breach of the Local Government Act due to not consulting during the consultation process. I'm just a bit confused about the logic there.
Certainly. So whilst consultation did occur at the end of 2021 and early 2022, this was limited to the idea of the structure of the jumps and the location at 145 Allendale Road. There has been no public consultation in what has been over 3 years in relation to this site, and the good governance principles require community consultation on decisions that affect it. Good governance principles are enshrined in Section 9, and they must be complied with by council. That is why I believe that there are significant grounds for council having breached this section.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Councillors, do I have a mover of the motion? Or I'll call for a mover.
Thank you. I would like to move that the committee, acting under delegation from the council, notes the submissions received in relation to the Diamond Creek BMX Jumps and Recreation Park per attachment 1. Thanks the submitters for providing council with feedback in this important project. Considers the comments contained in the submissions, authorises officers to finalise the concept plan and seek endorsement from council at a future council meeting, and resolves that attachment 3, consultation submissions is to remain confidential on the grounds specified in the Act. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a second? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joy, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I'd just like to begin by highlighting that this is the beginning of the process and this is the consultation. So thank you for participating. No final decisions have been made yet and there are no shovels out at Challenger Reserve. I'll just address a few of the issues that have been raised with me previously and also this evening. So with regards to the location, in 2021, Council undertook a detailed site feasibility assessment prior to selecting the preferred site being 145 Allendale Road. So consideration was given to a range of factors including access for public and active transport and access for maintenance and emergency services, planning restrictions and approvals, land size, the level of passive security, environmental factors and bushfire risks. There was also a requirement for the site to be near the unauthorised BMX jumps that were demolished in 2021. So the whole idea is to provide something that the community apparently wanted. So 7 sites, a total of 7 sites were assessed at that time. And 145 Allendale Road was selected. And we've spoken before in this forum about why that site is no longer appropriate. Out of the other 6 remaining sites that were considered, the only location that was deemed feasible is the Challenger Street Reserve. All of the others are impossible for a range of reasons to do with flood overlays or cultural heritage and also the grant, state government grant conditions that it must be built within Diamond Creek. So the key requirements that the Challenger Street Reserve site does meet is that it's within Diamond Creek, it's in close proximity to the original BMX jumps, it's outside of the 1 in 100 year floodplain, which is determined by Melbourne Water, and it's outside of the 200 metre offset from Diamond Creek. With regards to planning and design and suggested next steps, it's important to note that the plan presented to the community is a draft concept plan, and I did speak about this with the people that I met out on site a few weeks ago. You can't consult on a blank page. You have to do some of the work so you can then consult on that work and then do the environmental studies, etc., etc. So what is planned is an ecological survey. So this survey will evaluate all of the flora and fauna within the area and identify any potential environmental impacts, and this will dictate the protection measures for the design, construction and use of the area. The survey will focus on minimising disruption to the area rather than being a deciding factor for site selection. And also the feedback that we've received, like for example about the powerful owl and other species, that can go into the ecological survey. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. It's likely, we're not sure yet, but it's likely that this project will require a planning permit. So yes, we do have to get permits for our own developments. And that will require also a environmental management plan. So again, looking at all of the environmental assets and making sure that they are managed in the best possible way, and that will also be informed by the ecological survey. And we still have a detailed design stage to go through. So this is a key stage that brings together all of the previous planning and consultation. This final level of detail will include all sorts of technical information about the final location of all assets on the site, the landscape plans, including the trees, signage, car park, toilet location, which I know Councillor Perkins is very passionate about, all sorts of things still to be considered. And I did recommend to the people that Claire and I met with a few weeks ago, to please cast your mind to not only the fact that you, at this stage and as expressed this evening, don't want it to go ahead, but cast your mind, please, and let us know, please, during this consultation period, what would make it more acceptable for you.
Thank you, Councillor Joy.
Thank you.
Councillor Perkins.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Yeah, certainly support the motion. And just going through the consultation report, 1,840 unique users during the consultation period, so a lot of interest across the community in this project. 343 survey submissions. There are a number of questions, just the highlights there. I think most people will likely travel there by riding, walking. They'll be entering from overwhelmingly from the trail, 133 from the trail, 21 from Challenger Street. That was certainly the advice that we gave officers, when we first saw the concept plan, that we believe that the trail is very heavily used, and that's where most people will be accessing it from. Along the same lines, that's why councillors who saw this concept plan before it went out to community also suggested the toilet should be closer to the trail, because that's where they'll be used by the most number of people and serve the most number of ratepayers. How often do you think you'll visit the park? Varied responses. It's hard to pick a pattern there. How long do you expect to stay? The majority was 1 to 2 hours. Your main reason for visiting the park, overwhelmingly most people will be BMX riding, but there is importantly the people will be there supervising children, 57 responses, and just walking through the park, 46. Accessible toilets, where would you like to see the toilets? That was split, 147 to 135, near the car park or near the learn to ride area, near the trail connection. The 6 surface was overwhelmingly supported, so that's the more asphalt surface. Would you still use the jumps if you're required to complete this work before and after riding? 121 said yes, 105 unsure. Would you be interested in joining a community-led group to help maintain the jumps on an ongoing basis? No, overwhelmingly, so I don't think that's going to happen. How much time do you think you'd commit to the group? Most said about 1 to 2 hours per month. Barbecue facilities have been included near the Learn to Ride track. Do you support the inclusion of barbecue facilities? Overwhelmingly 258 said yes, 34 said no, so that's a winner. 8 bench seats and 5 picnic tables. Almost 200 said that was the right amount. Also, over 200 said that was the right amount of shelters. What else have we got? Drinking fountains. Most people want the drinking fountains near the barbecues. Most people want rubbish bins near the barbecues. There's a whole heap of elements that I don't think tonight's consultation process has really highlighted enough. This will be a great park. Change is difficult for everyone. We get that. I certainly saw that.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Thank you, Councillor Perkins.
Thank you.
Are there any other councillors that wish to speak to the motion? Okay. It's time to vote. Can I ask for a call of hands? All those in favour of the motion? That's passed unanimously. Thank you. We're now moving on to the next officer report, which is the community engagement policy. We have one person addressing the committee this evening, Councillor Connor. That's 25 years late. Sorry, Jim. Up to the microphone. Thank you.
It just sent a shiver down my spine. Thanks very much. This is my personal submission. I'm not speaking on behalf of any organisation. Council undertakes a comprehensive range of engagement actions, and the revisions of this policy have responded to community feedback, actually to engagement feedback. From my experience, residents often only engage with council when there is an issue that directly involves them. And when this happens, it is important that we have confidence in the engagement options. I think tonight's discussion on the previous item probably highlights some of those issues. It It is at this time that council's engagement process are called upon and need to somehow be responsive to the community expectation that they can access appropriate information in a timely manner and have an understanding of their entitlements, or influence a decision to support their desired outcome, whether it is simple or a complex matter. Council's use of IAP2 processes provides an overall framework to define alternative methods of effective engagement practices to help ensure diverse methods are utilised. Older members of our community can especially be challenged if they feel they're being channelled into only having to use digital-based options, which I've often raised in this area. I therefore encourage council to ensure we don't lose sight of basic methods of connecting with all members of the Nillumbik community, and I think tonight's expressions by some of the objectors reinforce that they feel that they have not been appropriately consulted with in an appropriate manner. And I, like others, found out about that site by a sign taped to a seat on the Diamond Creeks Trail. But overall, I support the revised Nillumbik community engagement policies and thank council for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? No questions. Okay. Councillors, do I have a motion for the community engagement policy?
I will move that as per the papers, please.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Seconder?
Yes, thanks, Chair.
Councillor Joyner, Councillor McKay.
I don't have anything further to comment on this other than at the previous council meeting, so I won't repeat myself. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Joyner? No, nothing to add. Any other councillors? No comments on the community engagement policy? Okay. All those in favour of the motion? I declare that carried unanimously. Now, I believe we're at the stage of supplementary and urgent business. There is none. Confidential reports, there are none. So I declare the close of meeting at 8:05 on Remembrance Day 2025. Thank you to the gallery who came and submitted to the committee this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.